I've got a problem. I'm an unwashed, disheveled mess. My house needs to be cleaned, and I've ate nothing but fast food for, well, let's be honest, like 3 years, but let's just say the last week. In Diablo 4, my hardcore character is level 74, and I have never purchased anything at all in their microtransaction shop. Meanwhile, in Path of Exile, I am level 81, and I have purchased the $500 supporter pack. Let's be honest, I have a bit of a problem, and my problem is there's nothing left to buy at a higher tier. Diablo 4 is currently losing the battle for my attention to a 10-year-old game. And for once, I can say that, and it's not even RuneScape I'm talking about. You might think this is going to be a Diablo 4 bad video, but it's actually kind of the opposite. I mean, there might be a little bit of like, we could use some more content, sure, but I've already talked about that in a million games. Or a million videos. This video is actually about one thing. Path of Exile is so ridiculously fucking good that it's ruining Diablo 4 for me because everything I want in Diablo 4 already exists in the game, and that game is Path of Exile. I've been live streaming the game every day, and I'll have that in the pinned comment in the description, but every day I think this is going to be my last day live streaming this game. But then I'll discover some new major mechanic, some new in-game piece of content, something new that's just truly really awesome, and I'm like, okay, well, let me just see what that's about. And I'm going to try to explain some of those mechanics to you now. Before you think I'm just a giant shill for the game, this is not sponsored. Path of Exile did not sponsor this video in any way. In fact, it should be a reverse sponsorship or whatever you guys want to call it, because very often people are telling me that I have to be promoting Diablo 4 or else my channel is going to die. Diablo 4 is literally in the name of the channel, and I'm out here, unfortunately, praising its competitor because it's kind of just that good. Let's start with stash tabs. There's currency stash tabs for all the different currencies. You can craft directly within the stash tabs, all of the different maps, because yes, maps in this game are basically nightmare dungeons that you decide how they work. You can craft your own map with your own specifications, rare maps, common maps, unique maps with all kinds of different modifiers on them. Oh, and speaking of maps, there's actually a whole section of maps called the Atlas, which is basically another skill tree that allows you to modify the maps further to have the exact encounters you want. And all of this might actually seem extremely complicated. And as we dive more into why Path of Exile is sort of ruining Diablo for me, yes, it is complicated, but here's the great thing about it. It's not overwhelmingly complicated unless when you're just looking at it for the first time, you decide to quit. In my previous video, I talked about the graph about how people play like 2 minutes and then instantly quit the game. If you only look at the next step in front of yourself in this game and you don't purposely try to know everything in the game, you just try to know the next thing, you actually don't get that overwhelming feeling. So try to stay with me while I explain this. So instead of nightmare dungeons, you're basically crafting your own nightmare dungeon, and each version of the nightmare dungeon has its own mini game. For instance, I like the mini game that allows me to do a tower defense mode, so I'm doing that. But they have like a Batman detective sort of mini game. They have a monster, a build your own Frankenstein type of mini game. They have essentially these versions of what are nightmare dungeons in this game that allow you to make them any way you want, which is just an astounding way of doing the late game mapping. To give you one more example, for instance, I don't do very much damage, but I'm extremely tanky. So I took the perk that makes it when I'm doing the maps, again, maps are basically dungeons. When I'm doing the maps, the monsters deal more damage, but they have less life. So it's an exchange that's good for me because I'm tanky, but I don't do a lot of damage. You also have their version of player-owned housing in this game. It's called a hideout that, guess what? You can fully optimize however you want. I have my own map station, which is basically the Nightmare Dungeon teleporter I can go to. I have my own crafting station. I have a place I can buy and sell all of the goods I want. I can hit edit right here and go and put down all of the different vendors. I can have all of my different cosmetics if I want it to look like whatever I want. And even if I don't really like this place that much, there is a ton of different hideouts I could actually change it to make it look completely different depending upon the environment I want. And these hideouts I can either purchase for microtransactions, which I have, or you can actually find these. You see how this says found in map, found in Act 2, found in Act 5. A lot of these you just play the game and you discover them, and now they are unlocked forever for you. I just want to show you how cool this crafting is if someone hasn't seen it before. Here's an unidentified rare chest plate, okay? So I can identify it and says, oh, it's got fire resistance, physical damage reduction, armor, and strength, for instance. But let's say I didn't like this, and you'll notice that there's sockets, which are basically where you put your skills. And it seems like it's complicated, but you just have to trust me. It's really not that bad once you get into it. So you put your chest plate here, and let's say I decide I like this chest plate base, but I don't really necessarily like all of the stats on it. You can scour it, which now makes it a common item again, and now I just have the piece back, okay? Then you can put quality on it, which improves the overall quality of it. So now it's a plus 20%, which is the maximum. Then I could roll it rare if I wanted to see, oh, I got a good rare or a bad rare. If I didn't like the rare I got, now I can re-roll this rare again in order to try to get a rare one I like. Now I get a rare piece that I really like, let's say 31 code resistance, okay? But I didn't actually get on that code resistance. I didn't get other modifiers for magic, so now I can add additional modifiers onto it. So it has armor and code resistance, which are both quite good. Then let's say, wow, now I have a good rare item, but I want to upgrade it to, or a magic item, but I want to upgrade it to rare. So now I can use this, and now it is a actual rare item. It goes from blue to yellow. So let's say I like that, but then I want my own stat on it, so I can take it to the crafting bench, and I can put, you know what, I think I'm going to put maximum life on this guy. So I was able to craft a piece of gear that feels amazing, that basically has everything I want on it. And if it doesn't have the ability for me to actually have the colored skills that I want because skills match a color socket, I can go in here and I can reforge the number of sockets. I can reforge the color of the socket. Basically what I'm trying to explain to you, it's probably overwhelming if you are a Diablo person and don't understand what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say to you is Path of Exile has everything that I wanted out of Diablo 4, which is easy to search stash, tons of repeatable in-game content, and I can customize it the way I want. It's got items that allow me to make an item exactly like I wanted with an intuitive crafting system, and you get the currencies for crafting from just playing the in-game, so you can actually sort of build your own item. Speaking of items, the itemization in the game is literally insane. The depth of which you can have things is absolutely nutty in this game. Like if I go and look at this, plus 1% increased attack damage per 450 armor. So I'm just stacking as much armor as I can get on all my pieces and to increase my attack damage. And that just happens to be one of the things that one of the items do. But there's like 1,000 unique items. I think it's actually 850 unique items are in the game. And so there's all kinds of different ways you can build this. It might seem overwhelming because it sort of is. But in an ARPG where what you want is the capability to build unique builds, have styles that you feel attached to, or the ability to have an in-game that is so in-depth that you can put hours into it, you need the ability for it to feel overwhelming. It feels overwhelming because there's a lot to do. And you know what you want in a game? A lot to do. Even the healing potions in this game have their own abilities. You can modify your healing potions to have different bonuses. For instance, my healing potion stops me from burning, removes ignite. It also stops me from bleeding and removes corrupted blood, which are sort of the same things. My cat in the background lets me know when she wants to go outside. Fine, I'm coming. I'm sorry I haven't made a video on Diablo in like 3 days. It's because this game has continually been sucking me in. The more I play this game, the more I uncover. And every time I uncover something, there's another thing telling me, well, did you try this yet? And most of the time the answer to that is no, I haven't tried this yet. Which is an amazing thing for a game like this because there's so much content to absorb. I could play this for a very long time. So if you've been wondering where I've been the last few days and why I haven't uploaded, it's because I've been playing Path of Exile, a 10-year-old ARPG that is actually just a phenomenal game. I mean, I understand why people were talking about this, and I wanted to make a video shilling for the game for a moment because I think you might actually enjoy it. If you've played Diablo 4, you're waiting for Season 2 because you're bored, you're like me, you might actually end up having a higher level character in Path of Exile by the time Season 2 comes out than your Diablo 4 character, because you might get sucked in just as bad as I did. To put it simply, the more you know about Path of Exile, the more you realize you don't know, which means there's more content to do, which means the game is good. AKA, the game continues to get better. And every time I think today's the last day, I'm going to go back to Diablo 4. I'm going to finish my 100 grind, start making D4 videos again. I run into something in Path of Exile while I'm live streaming. I'm like, wow, this is a whole new boss. This is a whole new area. This is a whole new minigame. And I find myself going, okay, one more day. I'll do one more day, and then surely this will be the last day I play. If If you want to see if today's the one more day or if I'm done after today, come on by the live stream, twitch.tv/DarthMicrotransaction. You can find it below and see what the game looks like for yourself. You might actually quite enjoy it.